All right, so we're live. Outer Haven.
Oh, dun.
Yeah, filling in for Steve-O because he's catching up. Yeah. All right. What is going on, guys?
That was
Commodore
a
Laz here today alongside the members of Outer Haven. I'm joined with Nikki Vengeance, Morass, and Heavenance 44 as we're here today to talk about the greatness that is the coalition invasion of Kingdom. As we'll be discussing today, chapters 257 through 315. So all I ask for you guys that are in the chat right now who are probably caught up to the series or at least caught up past 315, try to refrain from using any spoilers past 315. We don't want like anyone else who are trying to catch up to the series without being spoiled. Just to go through the adventure together as as a whole. So if you can try to refrain from doing that in the chat and as well as, of course, in the comment section down below, if you want to like say something about stuff that's going afterwards, just try and leave a spoiler tag and then space it out. You already know what to do with that. But yeah, we're here to talk about the greatness of the coalition. Start off at 257, and it's the whole stuff with the Kingdom of Joe. I mean, does anyone want to start off with the Kingdom of Joe, the little place that we saw that's a little miniature state?
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
it's quite it's
It's
quite
such a
interesting in general because it's like the way we've thought about kingdoms, how they've all separated into their own states and stuff, but we haven't really thought about what if there's like independent tiny states and stuff. So this really does bring up this kind of issues and stuff about how not every little state has an allegiance to someone else essentially. So
yeah,
also I found it very ironic that like Shin finds them. It's
yeah.
it's like the thing that his last opponent talked about, the will of the heavens.
Mhm.
I noticed that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's one of those. And the fact is, like, not many people would have stopped those people out because they're not part of their country essentially. But because of how Shin is, he went straight
Yeah.
away once he saw the little kid with the arrows in him and everything, just to straight away help him. And we found out it turns out to be quite a good thing as well.
It was definitely just because they were being ambushed by the Han army, and like, of course, we know that's being like hinted towards like some kind of great catastrophe pretty much happening, which we'll get into in a little bit. But of course, when we got into the state of Joe, I mean, like, what did you guys think of like the scenery, like just like the people in general? Like, what was the vibe you were kind of getting from it? Like when we were like we saw like Shin was taking the kid over to the kingdom
Oh,
afterwards. Like, what did you guys think of that?
hold on one sec, Lance. Sorry, just to interrupt. I don't know if it's me or Laz. Is he going a bit Mr. Roboto now, guys? Or
Um,
No,
hello?
I am fine.
I think
Oh,
it,
okay.
it might be you, Nikki.
Yeah, it's me. My bad. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna
No
move.
worries.
So yeah, you guys continue talking.
Okay, but yeah, we go over to see Shin afterwards as he brings the kid back, and we see like this like a plain field, just like full of dead bodies, heads being like chopped off. We see like many like people being like stabbed to death, and obviously, of course, we see like the kingdom itself being like set in flames. As Shin just watching all this in rage, he's like we have to take care of this. We need to go in there and like stop this ruckus that's going on. And we find out that there's like the Han army, the 2,000 man commander by the name of Bakon, who pretty much heads in there and he's causing a commotion and pretty much ruling like the livelihood of Joe. I mean, from that whole little commotion that we got with them being in there, I mean, like, did you guys think like because this is like the first time we've ever gotten to see like the state of Han. Like, what did you guys think of like the state? Like, did they leave off a very bad impression to you guys?
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah. Actually, no. You go, Maras.
yeah, I was thinking quite a bad impression because if you see like all the civilians that were killed and they're laying there on the ground and stabbed and stuff, normally you don't see that really. Most of the time when they're fighting, it's just the armies against each other and not the civilians that get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, like it's pretty sad though, honestly, just seeing like these are the people and the live like the lives that they kind of live and it's like the mindsets that they have going into war. Like obviously we know like these civilians they haven't done anything wrong, so like for them to be like just killed just because it's for the sake of being pillaged and for someone else's own like their own exploits, it's kind of sad to see like innocent people being used as like as a scapegoat for these guys to kind of like take over and rule.
Yeah, and a great point that was really interesting about Joe as a state as well is the fact that because it's in between Wei, Zhao, and Chu, essentially they're supposed to be under protection of those three countries. I mean
Yeah,
states. Sorry.
yeah,
So the fact that because you'd think how could they make like a decent livelihood when they're just between free warring states? And essentially, because we find out they like sell information to each other. So, like the more you read Kingdom, you found out how important information is in warfare. So it's quite interesting to find out that's what Joe's livelihood is essentially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, and then of course we see what happens with Shin afterwards. I mean, like when he just goes and destroys Bakon the minute like he just sees them, like it was only fitting for like for him to go out the way he did. I mean, when Shin, especially the character that he is, to see someone like with those kind of ideals and having to do resort to doing stuff like that, and just seeing him like, of course, like you knew Shin, like he was gonna have to cut that guy down. There was no way you can show mercy to scum like that,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I got the feeling that Shin, like, he wants to unite China, right? I got the feeling that
Yes.
he's not just going to unite the big kingdoms, but also like the small ones. If you remember the 300 guys that Oki left him,
Mhm.
they're still under him, right?
Yeah.
Like those stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the way Shin works is like every person essentially has been mentored by if for example when like General Oki died and stuff, like he grabbed some of their people because they respect him, like they just understand that Shin's gonna do great things essentially, so they're like, yeah, we'll follow this man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they can feel his flame, his eager to grow. They can feel it.
Mm.
I mean, like, and then obviously, of course, like we find out like the information regarding Joe, they kind of like use as like a place just for these people to kind of like do their own ideals, like the other states and stuff. And then we kind of go and start branching off from there as we see Riboku showing up with a certain individual who holds a pretty high position in the state of Chu, being the Prime Minister Shishin Kun. At the very moment, like I said this before when we were like in the Sanyo Aftermath arc, I believe in the last stream, I knew there was no way we can trust Riboku after the events of Bio. And the very moment we see him in position with this man, like it just felt to me like the gears were already in motion the minute he wanted the alliance with Quinn. So that there was like no way like there would be any issues from their side. He can just do things from behind the scenes and then just kind of mess around from there. But like to actually see him like being that close to Shin, I mean like right there and then you knew like something was going to end up happening. And like if you guys want to talk more into like the little clash that we got from the two of them.
Exactly. That's
Like,
once again, that's the will, like the whole thing, the story, the will of the heavens again.
yeah.
That Shin finds them.
And I mean like
And
when
it's
when we met like Shishin-kun like in general like the first time and stuff, I mean what kind of vibe did you get from him like from the beginning?
like because I don't know, because to me like I just, how you just associate someone by who they hang out with. So the fact Riboku respects this guy enough, and I respect Riboku a lot essentially because obviously he's the man who defeated Oki. So the fact that by association I kind of thought, I was like, yo, this guy is he must be something big essentially.
Yeah.
I found him to give off the same aura. Who's the one of the four pillars of Ryofui? Not Mobu, but what was his name again?
You mean like with Rishi? Or no, Shoei-kun. Probably
Yeah,
Shoei-kun maybe, yeah.
Same,
I mean, yeah, he gave
feeling.
out the, I get out the same vibe because with Shoei-kun, he has a weird aura to him, whereas like this guy, like you knew like there's something important with them because like for Riboku to like have this like private meeting with someone of like his stature, like it seemed like this is going to be such a massive deal, and the fact that we got to see like him, his rank, and everything, like it ended up being a pretty big deal later on. But like when we saw afterwards, like Kane coming in there to like kind of try and stop Shin from like pretty much interfering. And then Riboku, when he went to go and see him, like they decided to have like a little clash. Like, what did you guys think of that clash? Because like when the first movies, you had to see like these scars of Riboku, and just kind of like the fact that he's not a tactician only, but he's also a he has battle experience that we can assume is probably on a very high level.
What up? What up?
Like,
What's up, Miles?
Yeah, what up, anyway?
Yo,
I was gonna say, yeah, like when we started seeing his scars and stuff, I was like, I already knew he was a beast, but then like the aura he just gives off, just incredible. Essentially, it's just like this guy is gonna be such a problem for Quinn, like 100%. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it was just crazy, like, just seeing that little clash that they had afterwards. And then from there, after, like, we see, like, members of, like, the Chu, who we saw before, Rabun Kun. We see Kokuyu, and then we have to seeing afterwards the Archman. His name escapes me just a bit right there, but the third bow in China. And obviously, like, for him to have a meeting like this and to be packing people of, like, such a big magnitude, like, like, a meeting like this, there's no way you can kind of just go on your own and kind of make a deal in like this, especially like after like seeing Riboku, like the scars and stuff. And then, like, especially when we go into afterwards, like the explanation he was saying to Shin about the whole, like, the true terror of war. Like, I think from there afterwards, like, you knew something was like brewing in the sky and like something crazy was about to happen.
But the thing is that he was scared of Riboku himself, right?
Yeah,
And
like exactly, like the clash they had. It's like we've seen Shin have a lot of clashes as well, but it's just that Riboku's eyes is like you see them just go all white and stuff when he clashes with Shin, and you're just like, this guy is just he's a monster essentially. Like, and it doesn't even seem like he's really fighting that hard either. It's just like a little parry, and then Shin went flying.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Like, I love the intentions that Shin had in that as well, because it's like he wasn't trying to go in for the kill or nothing. He wanted to grab some kind of intel out of like Riboku at that moment, and the fact that he was able to play him into like giving him that kind of little information, but like he's not just a tactician; he's a warrior as well. That kind of proves to him like, okay, now I have to be really careful if I ever go into battle with him, because he's not just brains, but he has brawn as well.
Yeah.
Then obviously, of course, we go a little bit later. Oh, before that too, we also get that little message I just saw right now in the chat about Kane, when she offers Ten pretty much a place to stay if she ends up seeking a home later on. And I feel like, to me at that moment, like, that's how you already knew something bad was right there. For her to say something like that to Ten when they were kind of like on like civil terms, you knew like that was it. Like that was like what Riboku was already doing was crazy, but for her like to say that afterwards to Ten, it's like, yeah, something is definitely going to be going on, and like we're going to be seeing it very soon.
I don't feel scared reading manga, but that one thing he said, that legit made me scared. Like, we're gonna end up in a place without home.
Yeah. And then, of course, you see at the very end of like 260, when we see afterwards, like, it's not going to be just a Chu and Zhao alliance. It's something greater than that. And then we see afterwards Riboku heading off to go meet the king away. And to me, like, Signs of a Storm 261, like, this is where things got even crazier and crazier from there. Because this was the one where we saw, like, afterwards, like, we see with Sei finding out that he's going to be a father very soon, with Ku being pregnant with his child. I thought that was really awesome just to see that little thing there, and then seeing like you kind of like freaking out, going crazy, like, oh my god, I'm so happy for you and stuff. But like, it's one of those where like, yeah, life is about to come into play, but at the same time, a life is going to be taken away, and then it's not just one; it's going to be like close to probably like hundreds of thousands of lives at this scale. So
yeah, I was also gonna mention quickly just before that as well. Like we see Riboku meet Ten as well. And the fact that Ten's starting to be the first person to realize what's the true scope of what they're doing. Like like her and Shin kind of like on the same wavelength. They're like, even Shin's like, he's not like his usual self, essentially. There's something different about Riboku today. So
yeah.
Yeah,
and then there's also a little piece of information I was going to add in here too. But if you guys remember also, there was a woman that also was apparently pregnant at the same time that Ku was conceived his child.
Yeah.
I feel like this is information we may get later on down the road. I don't know myself personally, but that's like a little tidbit that like you should keep in your pocket. And then if someone ever asks you like, do you know this? Oh, you just go in your pocket and say, oh yeah, I remember this. So I thought like that was really cool. Like they were kind of trying to shy away from it, like with just text bubbles. But it's like, no, this is going to be some important stuff later on. But like, and then also we found out like, Ten finding out that like, Sei's gonna be having a kid, and then like I like how she was explaining it's like, like it's starting to feel like a family. And it's not just in the meaning of like just like Sei's family, but like them all together since like the very beginning. These guys are like a family in their own way. Like, Ten, Shin, Sei, Heki, Shobun-kun, like they're like just one like big crazy family that they can like kind of see each other for support and like as for morale.
Absolutely.
And just kind of like as guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, first arc together in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have really strong bonds from that arc.
And and then of course afterwards, this is when the craziness comes in, because then we see Rokumi and Kano afterwards, members of Toe's crew who, of course, like former members of Oki but under Toe now. these guys, like the minute they start talking to Shin, and then like it's the words that Toe says from Kano, where he's like, a storm is brewing that's going to be even greater than that happened at Bio. And I'm just thinking, like, for words to be said like this, and this is like towards like the end of this is volume 24 when it was coming out, and we see that crazy double spread of like just these armies just appearing like one after another. Like you knew something on a scale like we've never seen before, and just like these wars, like were just like one side versus one. Like this is going to be something like even greater than that. And the fact that they were hyping up that chapter 2, where like something insane is going to happen that's going to shock the land of China, like to me, this is where the hype level just came in and just like took over at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's also that one bonus manga, sex scene.
Oh yeah, that part we could probably save for like another time. But yeah, then afterwards, like we get all like the stuff with the different armies that are starting coming through. We see like Rubin-kun and stuff with like the Chu army as they're proceeding forward, and like this is where I personally think, like aside from 365, which will come in another time, this is like up here for like one of my favorite chapters ever, 262, where we get like everyone together inside the room as they're just talking about like what's going on from the outside, and we just get all this information about like different armies and stuff just coming in to like pretty much invade. And we see like Rufu, he's just like calm, he's like there's nothing to worry about. Mobu's out there, Chotu's out there, like all our other guys are out there to kind of like repel whatever is going to be happening, especially just seeing Toe out there on the battlefield. Like that was like one of those moments where like after like the passing of Oki, like this is his time now to finally show what he's got capable of on the level of the generals, and eventually hopefully 6 great generals. But then like of course that doesn't end up being just the case, not just Chu, because then we go and see like one of the members of Toe's crew ends up getting like pretty much bashed in by Rubin-kun, and then from that moment it's like, okay, this is a guy like we can't like step aside and just say like, oh, he's just gonna be whatever. Like he's gonna be a force to reckon with if we have to do battle with him one-on-one.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an awesome moment in the chapter where everyone starts to freak out over the whole situation.
Yeah, I mean like that like 263. Yeah, 263. Yeah, because like that was just like that thing where it's just like one's coming in, it's like okay, another one's coming in, that's all right.
Yeah. Oh my.
But I think that it was the very moment they said that Yan was coming in with, I'm trying to remember, it was 100,000, 200,000, something along that lines of like the armies that was just coming through.
Yeah.
And like at that moment, we just see everyone's face. Like I remember it was page. It was I'm trying to remember the thing, but it was page 15 on 263 when you see that panel of like Ryufui, Sei, Shibun-kun, even Shohei-kun. Was just like they were all like, holy shit, something crazy about to happen.
And then the 4th army comes in, the 5th.
Yeah, and then like and I just love it. Like afterwards they're saying like, that we have the army from Han coming through, and like this is how I knew that this arc was gonna be even crazy. The fact that Ryufui, a man who has never shown emotion to the level where like concern, for him to go and scream out what the hell is going on, you knew something very bad was like on the horizon. And then like Sei just looking up his face and saying, a coalition army, that's all it means. And just like from then on, I mean, like, the craziness begins.
6 states going to attack Chin, yeah. But we'll get to that where there's only 5 that attack, but
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, well, we can kind of get into that too, because, like, of course, we get, like, all the armies that are coming through, and then eventually, like, it leads to the moment where, like, Saitaku has to be dispatched over to the land of Ki to kind of go and persuade the king of Ki to kind of, like, bring back his forces so that there isn't some kind of an issue going on, because we get a retelling of a story from Shibun-kun who reminded everyone about Gakuki, the great general of Yan, who's said to be on the same level as the 6 great generals of Quinn, and of course the South's 3 great heavens. Like all those guys together, compared into one, make up at least like the 6 great generals and then the 3 great heavens make up this one person known as the military of God. And
one more thing though.
Yeah.
That Saitaku was right, like across the border. That he was close in the proximity to go to his friend. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know if this is revealed later on, but something fishy about that.
Like, you think they're on peaceful terms, like they know each other somewhere?
Yeah, but he was there. Like, did he get some moment's notice from him before or something else?
I mean,
the messenger that went to the king?
Saitaku.
Oh, just like how he got to the state of Ki.
Like yeah, he got there right at the right time, right at his best friend. You know.
Because if I remember closely, they said something about him like he was in Zhao or something, like, you know, he was on his way like to Yan or something, but because it's like so close to Ki from, I guess, wherever he was, like he figured like, hey, they might as well just send up like a raven or probably sending like a bird over to him to like relay a message to go over there and handle something. Because if Saktaku, I think, was still in Quinn, I highly doubt that, you know, he would be able to get there in enough time to kind of talk with the people over there in Ki, especially the king himself, to kind of like, you know, just let him know what's going on. But yeah, like that the little meeting that they had together, like, you know, obviously they've known each other for a long time, and like, you know, he was able to comply with it because he knows that Saitaku won't break his promise. But again, like that whole story about Gaku Ki, I mean, like when they heard about the story how Ki used to be like the one that held like the most land in all of China, and then this man who like his state was on the brink of demise was able to overthrow them and almost wipe out the state. Like that's scary. And the fact that this is only one man to do it, and it's like one guy was able to almost pull this off, and then you have like all these other states who are trying to replicate it. It's just like it's absolute madness.
This oh man, it's just one of the most hype openings to an arc just ever. I don't know, it's just fucking crazy.
Yeah. And then of course like seeing like Sei's resolve as well. Like, you know, he like everyone else is all down for the count, like they're ready to just throw in the towel. And he's telling them like, no, like that's not gonna be the case. Like we're gonna try and do everything we possibly can to kind of like, you know, get ourselves together, because like we're not gonna go down without a fight. Like you want to threaten us and try and take our lands. Like we have people that are ready and capable to try and like do what we can to protect, you know, like our home. Like we're not just gonna let you do what you want.
Exactly. It's like it's because like it's one of those situations you can't even fathom. It's just like every other state is fighting us. What the like you don't even know, like it's. I'm not surprised at how everyone reacted. Like Sei's got that, obviously he's got that fire burning, so it was good that he's the one to like show everyone what to do and stuff. But man, it's just a crazy. Just I don't even know how you can even think you're gonna get out of a situation like that. You know, it's just insane.
Yeah. And then of course, I guess skipping a little bit forward, we end up getting like that huge meme. Like this is like one of those meetings where like I knew like the power scale right here was gonna be something that Quinn is gonna have to deal with when we see like, you know, Kanmei, Ordo, Gohume, and Sekai all meeting together, getting ready to discuss about the plans of like the takeover of Quinn. I mean, from those four, when you guys saw them, like Kanmei, Ordo, Sekai, and Gohume, like who would you think was probably the strongest, or like the one that was the most dangerous from the four? From initially the first time you saw them,
where they sit together and wait for the guys.
Yeah, like from those four, like who would you say, like just from the first like look that you guys had of them, like that you thought, no, this guy is probably like the one to watch out for?
I think the smartest one, which seems like a kid.
Oh, you mean like Gohume?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Gohume, yeah, definitely. I would like, especially the later on stuff with him. Like to me, like he doesn't seem like a battle person, but he does provide like very good tacticians and stuff. And like he does seem like one of those people that like, you know, you have to be very careful like how you're gonna be planning stuff, because I feel like he's one of those people that like he'll have like the resources to kind of back up like whatever strategies he has. So like I would say if I had to connect him to someone, I would say he's like Osen from a defensive side. But like, unlike obviously with Olsen, like we know he has defensive capabilities and like he can take down other people. With Gohume, with him, like he probably has like more offensive like things he can use for himself in battle. So like he's kind of like a balance. But I would say like he seems like the more like conservative defensive type, kind of like how Olsen is.
The whole reason I said it is because he was the only one that actually understood Riboku.
Yeah,
that's scary.
It's hard to say though, because there's so many like,
yeah, and not once too, like twice.
Yeah, then of course like we get like Sei, like, you know, pretty much gathering around like the 6 generals and stuff, and pretty much like just telling, you know, getting them all together because they're going to be defending Kankoku Pass, which essentially if Kankoku Pass falls, like Quinn is pretty much done. Like this is like this wall that they have to like, you know, hold together from all these invading like states and stuff. Like if this pass were to pretty much fall, like it's game over. Like you might as well just like pack the bags, you know, just surrender.
Yeah, like it was quite good because I was always thinking is like if they don't have a like before we even knew about the Kanko pass, like I was thinking how the hell is Quinn going to like fortify the defenses without something there already, you know? Because literally all the armies would just slip right in. And they have to use their armies to get them back, but they won't have enough men essentially. So it was like
Yeah.
like so it shows that whoever made the Kankoko pass really was thinking ahead of the fact that they need a big defense against the other states in China.
Yeah, and then of course, like later on, we get to see like the huge double spread that comes in afterwards of like the battlefield and it's showing like where everyone else is and their places for the battle. We see like guys like Mogu, Chotu, and Kanki kind of defending Kanku Pass, and essentially they're going to be facing off with the Wei and Han armies. Where we see with Ordo, he's going to be facing off with Osen, and then To and like Mogu and them, they're going to be taking on the Chu army, and then of course Q, who's all the way to the far right. He's gonna be taking on like the Zao members, which are like Kisha, Mangoku, Rinaku, and Kosan Ryu. Which I feel like from those members over there, like in terms of like the amount of like big names and stuff that are there, I feel like the Zao troops are probably the toughest ones there, and especially since the Duke was like essentially like from the generals, he was like the only one by himself to kind of like take care of things. I feel like that was like the most difficult challenge from there. But like when you guys saw that little thing with all the matchups, like which matchup were you most excited for?
I'll say Kanki and the guy with the weird kind of scales and stuff. I can't remember his name. I just call him,
Seikai,
yeah, Seikai. Because it's just because how tricky Kanki is. Just I just want to see how he would like. What is he gonna do against this kind of opponent? Because this opponent seems there's something really off about him. So, and Kanki's fights are always interesting the way he defeats people because it's never by brute force. It's always by tricks or tactics or something. So that was the most interesting to me.
The one I found most interesting was Mobuto versus Kanmei Rimukun.
Yeah.
But Kanki, like the first time I saw him, he like surprised me so hard. Took down a general, like the arc before. Took down a general, infiltrated the base, fooled everyone. I was like, this guy. I knew something was gonna go down with him.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I think mine was the Ocean against the Yan army, because I know Ocean is always doing the things you're never expecting of.
Oh yeah, he's playing it safe always, right?
Yeah, but also like how he creating the how you say it the castle in the mountain.
Oh yeah,
the fortress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the best in that. So you know that he's doing something crazy with it. So I was like, okay, there's something go on. I really want to see it.
Yeah, that's true. Because even in the arc just before, like Rinku, he was going around killing all the generals. When he saw Usen's like kind of fortified mountain, he's like, nah, I can't do this one. Like, so, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, like obviously, like going forward after we get the battle with like Zhao and Quinn, and then of course it leads to a battle that I remember at Bio, like this was one I wanted to see, but I knew we were going to see until probably later on, and this fight ends up happening, and that was the battle between Shin versus Mongoku, and the backstory of Mongoku being revealed of what happened during the events of Chohei from his perspective, from what Hakuki, burying alive over like 400,000 Zhao prisoners. And like what do you guys think of that entire like backstory of Mongoku? Because I know like there's some people who kind of say like they try to sympathize with him, but at the same time it's like because we know like his mindset. I mean, like the very first time we ever saw him, this guy's like laying on like a whole bunch of corpses of like these women, all naked in the rain. I'm just thinking like, yeah, I mean, you were buried alive, yes, but does that like kind of like excuse like all the shit that you've done later on in your life? Like, not really. If anything, it makes me like, I'm afraid of you more, and I think that you're a fucking psychopath. But
it's hard to say though, to be honest, because like the fact that imagine he was one of the people buried as well, which is fucked up, and he had to like his skin because he was buried, literally is just like become like that. So essentially, his mind, his psychology. Mentally, he's basically fucked. and his body just basically exemplifies his mind, essentially. Like his body's all kind of wrinkly and weird and stuff like that. You can just see the amount of damage that's had on him. And I'm not trying to excuse his actions, but I'm just saying, like, that definitely fucked him up. Like after that, like if you see a whole like it was brutal. So
yeah, if I went through what he went through, I would be fucked up in the head too.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was insane.
Like there's no psychiatry classes or whatever that's just kind of like, help you out mentally there, especially in those times. Like, if you're screwed up in the beginning, that's going to be it. It's like, that's it for you.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the battle that takes place with him.
Yeah, it was a really good fight as well. Especially like seeing like, Ten, like, kind of putting Mongoku in his place. He's like, calling him a sick fuck because like, you think you can excuse yourself for doing all these things just because you were buried alive. And like how Shin kind of like staying to his resolve of like, I'm never going to stoop to your level because I'm going to always try and strive to be better. And then like in his like final moments, like when we see like Shin taking him down, which I thought like the build up since Bio to finally get that moment, like I thought it was absolutely amazing to see it kind of come to an end. And like Mongoku saying like, I'll be waiting to see your answer. And like as he passes on.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, like, even if you're crazy, even if, like, at the end of the day, like, this guy saw that Shin was the real deal. Like, he means, like, when he says, I want to, like, fix this place and make it, a place where the people, like, war doesn't have to be an answer. It doesn't have to be something that can resolve everything. Like, this is going to be the thing that, like, changes stuff. And for Mongoku to realize that, considering what we know of his personality and character, I thought that was absolutely amazing.
It was definitely a bittersweet ending to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Shin summarized pretty well. He said, "The one that's cursed really is you."
Yeah, that's what hits home. It's like the one that was really cursed was you. It's just like shit. It's just like I don't know, man. Like the mangaka finds these ways with these quotes and like because again, this is based on history, but like the way like he's able to interact like different like the speeches and just these little things to make things even more meaningful than they already are at the moment. Like it's crazy. And then of course, go Nikki, go.
Yeah, sorry to backtrack a bit, but I was gonna say, just obviously when the armies just all getting together, it was quite cool to see Uhan and Moten and Shin all meet up again and stuff. And like it's just like this is like they've been in a few, like obviously they've been in the last war, but this one's gonna matter the most out of everything they've done since. Like, and it just sees like it was whoever comes out of this the best essentially. Will be the closest to becoming a general. So it was quite interesting to see them like talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then of course we go over afterwards to see like To versus like the other members of Chu with Mobu and stuff, and then we get that little panel afterwards where it shows like Ohan and like Moten versus Kokuyu and Hakurei. Now I remember his name, Hakurei, the third bow of China. I mean, like this is all like into the lead up afterwards, like the Bakuya sword. Now, I need to hear your thoughts on this, guys, because I remember being like, "Oh, Bakuya sword, like this would be cool," and then I'm kind of like, I mean, you guys tell me like what your thoughts on like Kokuyu as a character and like his capabilities in battle from what we saw.
The first time I saw him, I thought, "Oh my gosh, this guy is like Shin and Moten." He's one of the potentials, Yeah. He's gonna take down someone, and it's gonna be really bad. That's what I thought.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course, like we get like the backstory afterwards of like how the sword was created. Like because there were two swords, the Bakuya and the Kansho, and they were crafted pretty much by this couple who go by the name of Kansho and Bakuya, and like they were known as like people who created like the great treasures of China. And one of them, obviously, Bakuya being the sword that was in the possession of Kokuyu. And then we end up finding out afterwards that the couple pretty much was murdered afterwards by the king of Wei, when I remember. And like afterwards, like it hasn't been said what happened to Khonshu, like the sword itself, but then we end up finding out afterwards, like from here, that the sword Bakuya now belongs in possession to Kokuyu. So this kid who's essentially the similar person to Shin, but I would feel like he's more on the stupider side, like arrogant. He's more like, overconfident in his abilities. The fact to see someone like him to be in possession of, such it's a great treasure of China. And that kind of to me, it's like, how could this kid actually have possession of something like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
I was thinking exactly the same thing as well. Like, it's still so a young kid. I understand if a general, a big name would have that sword, but like a
Yeah.
small kid, still like him, still have to earn his ways into this battles. Already has a sword like that is strange.
Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe like it might be like hinting towards something that like he might have political power, or he might have something that like allows him to get possession of such a like a sword like this. Because I can't see it being like, he was a kid, he found it one day like in the mud or something, and took care of it afterwards. Because like remember, this is a sword that if you get cut with this, the wounds don't heal.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's a crazy thing, because like if you put this in the hands of like say someone like Ribun Kun, or later on we talk about Kanmei and stuff, and he really get possession of the sword, like we already know the physical features are one thing, but to add a sword like this into the game with the power that it has, pretty much like that's scary. Like I wouldn't want to face someone like that, knowing that my wounds would keep on opening, and especially if they throw salt in the wounds in that kind of term, like that's gonna hurt.
Maybe it's similar to how Oki recognized Shin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna mention stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
with
might have
that
got
sword though, he didn't really do a whole lot with that, did he?
Like the minute like he went to go see Toe, I mean, like even like during his battle with Toe did not get hit, or like didn't have a wound or nothing. And I
Yeah.
still stand to this day that like even like up to like 315, like where we are right now, for this discussion, Toe hasn't shown anything. He hasn't like put any effort, yet still gets the job done. And that is very, very scary that a character like this was able to hold his own ground, knowing what this kid has in his hands, and like the fact that he was able to walk away in that battle without like an injury whatsoever, like holy crap, like
Yeah,
that's
but if you
amazing.
think about Toe, he's already a strange guy. If you look at all the other generals, you think of generals, but if you look at Toe, you never would think that he would be a general.
Yeah. You'd think
Definitely.
he'd be like an artist or something with his little French moustache and everything.
I would say he looks a little bit gay, but hey, that's me.
I mean, like that's the
Now
vibe.
he looks
like,
French. He looks artistic, man.
Yeah, I mean that's like the vibe he kind of gave off and stuff. But I think it's just like that's just like him and Oki, like that's their thing. Because obviously we know with Oki, like his true love was with Q, and then obviously we know what happened with that. Like fuck Hoken, but
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. Maybe he went to Toe afterwards for comfort and stuff. But like I feel like to that it's like a brotherly relationship that they had. Yeah, like yeah, and then of course like we see Toe afterwards coming through trying to fight Rubunku, I mean like Toe just like he just destroyed him. Like they had a nice little clash, but at the end of the day, Rubunku got destroyed. And I just love how like Toe had that quote afterwards where like what does he aspire to be? The exact same words that Oki said, and he's like a great general of the heavens before taking him down. I'm thinking like now this is one of those things where like people who say like Toe is like this right hand man, this second in command, that kind of was thrown out of the water. Like that's like when it's like Toe has the potential to be a general, like to be like his own man, and if he wasn't already, then a moment like this should already prove like yeah, he is on that level.
Yeah, like even earlier on when Oki was still alive, when I think that was during just the first arc we meet Duke Yo, and Oki's like on the mountain and stuff speaking to Tao. And we hear that even Oki's like they're not really different in strength anyway. It's just status essentially the only thing that differs between them.
Yeah,
it's like So that's why I knew Toe was just gonna be a beast no matter what. So
yeah. I mean, the only thing I did kind of feel sad about whatever when it came to Ribunku is if you remember, like he was supposed to be in this relationship, this marriage with Hakurei's sister Hakusui. And like it goes to the thing where she's saying like I'll be waiting for you when you come back from the battlefield. When you get your position as a great general, right? And then right after we see the next panel, like Toe just like takes him down, and it's just like it's one of those things with Kingdom where it's kind of sad. Like even from like the good people's perspective, but also of course from the enemy's perspective, you have to sort of like feel like damn, like that girl like who's probably waiting at home for like her loved one, her loved one just got his head chopped off, or like like someone just got destroyed in battle. They're not going to be able to come home and see that person afterwards because they've been, their life was taken from them.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like, this is the true terrors of war. Going back to what Roboku said, like you only know the true terror of it like the minute you step on that battlefield.
And
the fact that Rubicon was like a little naive like Shin. I mean, it does strike something. Like don't push yourself too hard, Rimbuku.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because I thought Rabunku was going to be like one of those guys that just came out of nowhere and just be like, like he'll probably accomplish a lot more from the standpoint. But like the fact that he got taken down for Toe, and I understand why. Like like Quinn's already like in a pickle and like 5-against-1 at this point, with Key being held back. But like the Toe kind of needs to get this win to kind of like bring up the morale for Quinn, since they're already in like this huge handicap match.
Yeah.
True that. I know I'm going a bit back again. Sorry, guys, but it was quite interesting as well to see that this Shin has now unlocked his kind of general thing as well. Like he's now definitely an instinctual general from his fight, with Keisha and everything. Because the fact was that Dukyo is one of the most like he's a great general by using his instincts, but if Shin didn't get involved and like literally did, which is essentially a really crazy thing, like when someone's charging and you're going through the charge to help the back because they know that Dukyo would have died if he kept on charging, because the way Keisha set up that army to kill him, like by squeezing them slowly, and it was really cool to see that. So yeah, just to mention that point.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely.
Yeah, then that's where I guess we can kind of go towards like the very
Whoa,
Mr. Rabo.
Nikki, handle it.
All right.
I was gonna say that it was funny how like after Shin won, was like bam, he banged like against his chair and was like,
yeah, he was so hyped for him. He was like, yeah.
And people were like, why is he angry? Like, but he was happy.
Okay. So we're now on Tao and the fight there. So let me just carry on from where Laz was, guys.
I mean, guys, can you hear me now or no?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You're back.
Perfect. So you want to go with Toe versus Keisha?
Oh no. We'll continue on what you're saying, man.
Okay. So going forward afterwards, we go into the stuff that's going down between like Mobu and Kame, the very beginning stuff, and like this is one of those moments when it comes to manga where like you feel this like the sensation of like these are two like monstrophic like demon incarcerations from hell that are about to go at it and just like give it like their all. And to see like Mobu, like Kami obviously of course having like his speech and stuff, who's the greatest in the land, and he's like Kanmei, and then of course like leading up afterwards to Mobu kind of like shut up, like and like I just love that he's like, I am Mobu, the strongest man in all of China. And like this, like if of course, like One Piece fans, you already know, like the hockey game came through. Like his King's hockey was awakened, and just like the land of China just heard this scream, just like go through like to maximum proportions, like unheard of in the world. And then just like seeing like Toe, he's kind of also looking too, like he's unfazed by it, but he recognized like, oh yeah, this guy means business. And then Kame too, like the fact that he just looked on like whatever. And like, of course, like when Mobu's saying, like, I'm gonna personally smash your head into a pulp. Like that after that moment, it's just like, that is the fight I wanted to see the most. Like of all the battles we're gonna get to see, no, this is the one that's gonna have like the most meaning afterwards. Of course, and then afterwards, like we see like Heki afterwards, then we see like of course like Heki afterwards preparing to go forward because now his men are pretty much sent out first to begin the attack against Kame's troops. Nikki, you're gonna say something?
Oh no, I was just gonna mention as well the fact that like he's making up for everything he's done wrong for the Oki thing. So now I can't even hate on Mobu anymore. Like this arc, like after this, no more Mobu hate. Hashtag Mobu is dead.
Yeah.
After this arc, but especially the thing that the thing I really liked as well was the fact that even Toe was like, he went up and spoke to Mobu. Was like, yeah, it's General Oki's death has made you stronger, and like. We all recognize that now, so that was good to see that even though Tao should essentially hate Mobu for fucking up, he's like, yeah, I know you've got better now, and I know you learned your lesson, so it's quite cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say just to backtrack just a little bit because I feel like we made a mistake here and we forgot to bring in like best bae of the series.
Yeah,
the heroic woman known as Karin. Let me just say this, and we spoke about this before the stream too. Regardless if this is, general, great general, or like, some sidekick, the fact that she was able to give a big boot and bend this dude's neck back the way she did, I'm sorry, but like this is a woman you have to fear. Like she just installed fear in me like the very second she did that.
Yeah. And she's fucking massive as well if you think about it. She's like an Amazonian woman or something.
Nikki, no.
Like you remember the moment with Conmay, like when Conmay went to go see her because like she wasn't doing anything and she's just sending out the other like members of like Rabun Kun's troops to kind of like handle the business. And like he goes over there to say like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing?" But depending on your answer, I'm gonna have a problem with it. And then she just goes and gets up, and you just see they're the same height, which is like holy shit. And then she's like, "Don't worry about it. It's all my plan of taking down Kunku Pass." And before that, he goes and like places like his sword right to her neck. He's like, "Let me see your neck real quick." And I'm just like, "Oh shit!" Like Kame might actually go crazy here, but. Of course, seeing like Karin's like, yo, nothing to worry about. It's just a joke. I'm just plotting all this because we're going to take down Konku Pass. And then she pretty much states like, she's going to try and take this over in 10 days. Like in 10 days, Konku Pass will fall. And for Riboku to kind of be like, holy shit. So this is what the woman of Karin is known. Like to see like that this woman has like this idea and this plan. Like, of course, we can say creating a plan is one thing. Executing it is another thing. But I think at that moment, because she's such a new character, and for her to make a statement that boldly, I feel like that's one of those moments where like, damn, like we got to really be careful of this girl because she might be like the craziest wild card we've seen thus far in the Coalition War.
Yeah, exactly. Because imagine essentially like, because there's not really any female like generals that high up. So essentially the way she must have been fucking a beast just to get that far.
Well, look how big she is. She already is a beast.
No, but I mean, in just because obviously not just being big means anything. Tactically, like mind-wise, you have to be on point.
If you look at most of the generals, they're quite big. So her being so big, she is something.
Mm-hmm.
True. But
I mean, for God's sake, she was the same size as Conmay. Like Conmay was already like the giant, like the giant of Chu, and it's just like for him to be like her to be that same size as the giant of Chu, like she has to be a giant. Like it's great, it's insane.
Kami has like the same character as Mobu. He was like, quit bitching me,
And I like she's so and she's so funny the way she's so relaxed. Like she gives me those like she just gives me like she's just chilling. Like when everyone's all worried about war and stuff, she's just on her couch lying down. Like it's just like wow, man. She must know what she's doing essentially.
Yeah, like. And then, of course, like we see afterwards, like, Kame's members that come in afterwards. I'm just trying to remember the names now, but like Bayman, Jino, and Gomashu. The gold guy being Jinu, the one that had the weird design, the other strategist, Bayman, the guy with like the hair down with the top knot thing going on. Like, I don't know. He's like one of those characters I just did not like his design. Like, he just gave me the weird creeps. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but like I just like Gino, I think was the only one that I was like, okay, like he seems cool. The other ones, I just hated their designs. They just look so fucking like weird. But it's like it's like never to judge a character by their like looks or whatever, because they could be like monsters in disguise, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then of course, like leading up afterwards, when we see Heki being pretty much like stabbed from behind. Now, a lot of arcs that we've seen him being in, there are like, there's a chance like, he could die. But I feel like now Heki's like one of those characters that like will somehow escape death, even if the sword went through his head. Like he's just one of those guys where like he essentially will. Like he'll just essentially somehow find a way to live afterwards. And like for me to see him like getting stabbed from behind like that, like I was a bit worried, but I'm thinking, you know what? From how long we've known this character, and like to see him like the next page afterwards, like he's putting his hand on like one of his men's soldiers, letting him know to like have faith and stuff. Like he's gonna be okay. Like there's not like he would like the only time for me to be worried is the legit when his head's off his shoulders. That's the only time.
Like even when Oki was stabbed, I thought he wouldn't die.
Yeah, like that's what I thought too. Like I mean, like again, like we look at the wound and stuff compared to the one like Heki suffered. Like that wound, like the whole entire like glaive of like Hoken went inside of like Oki. For like this case, it was like a little spear going through him. But of course, anything close enough to the heart, like it's over. Regardless, you get your heart pierced, like you're dead unless you're like an immortal.
And also the funny thing about Heki is that he's saying, "Okay, I'm in the back," blah blah, and then at the same point. Mo will scream out his name. He's like, "Huh?
Yeah.
What's going on? Huh? Me? Okay."
Yeah. Then I was gonna ask you guys too, like when we get to see more of Karin, and eventually like her her kicking, like her pretty much her punching bag, Bamiyu, the lieutenant. And this guy, like to be like, there's another character we're gonna get into afterwards from like Conky's crew, who I honestly find is like one of the funniest characters we're gonna see in the series. But like this poor guy is just like, he's trying to do his job, just as as the messenger boy. And this woman just repeatedly just beats his ass regardless of what's going on.
But he must be strong, because when you see her hitting him, it looks quite hard that he's hitting her. So So it looks to me he must be strong if you get.
That's what I'm thinking too. Looking back at it as well, because it's like this guy's after he's just combing his hair, and then eventually he's being like strangled afterwards. Like it's just like, dude, like he has high durability, and then people are just they're kind of like forgetting about like if he's able to survive what Karin's like her playing around. But again, this is like you're being almost killed pretty much by her little tactics and stuff. But like for him to be okay after all this, is like okay. I'm gonna be careful with this guy. Like he might be not so easy if we get into a battle with him.
True, because like we even saw her earlier just kick a guy's neck to make it broken. Like that's how fucking strong she is. She just like nonchalantly just kicked his neck broken, and now she's like, and now she's just beating this guy up for no reason, and he's still okay. So
and then of course like later, like leading up afterwards, we get like the war elephants that Kari was pretty much setting up about. Now
days, that was sick.
Now this was probably one of the most hype moments because I did not expect to see like I mean elephants I would see maybe like if we were like in the far like east or like like west, like in Africa or whatever, but like the fact that we got to see them just show up the way they did, I'm just like that is a huge game changer. If these guys were like able to like command them at their own will and pretty much do what they did afterwards, like these elephants, man.
The elephants back when I was little. And I watched the movie of Alexander the Great. He lost to India because of the elephants and the terrain.
Yeah,
I really thought they were gonna lose that.
Because the way they did it as well, like the elephants were coming from the front and the side. I was like, shit, they're kind of screwed. Like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, especially goes like chapter 297, the purpose of war elephants. When we see like afterwards, like all those elephants just like swatting people away, like they were just like little ants and stuff. Like it is just insane. Like for Chu to be able to have something like this, you knew like political power, but at the same time, like connections that she might have are probably responsible for like her to be able to obtain like war elephants. Like war elephants, like where the hell are you gonna go get that? You're not gonna go to like the market to go and pick it up.
And the thing that was also so sick about the war elephants are not even a point to destroy the army. It was all just a camouflage so that she can just slowly like corner Tao's army and stuff.
Yeah,
that was so fucking sick.
But it was already the thing that you first see the guys in the wheels coming, making the dust, and then they're creating the whole dust, and they were like, why are they coming? And then slowly you see the elephants coming, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, and then especially
it's
like
about
seeing
to go down.
Yeah, and then like, especially seeing like Rokuomi afterwards, being like taxed to pretty much take down like the guy that's pretty much like allowing the elephants to pretty much do what they're doing, using like his language and stuff. I just see him coming in there and just like taking out these dudes, like risking his life because it's not going to be easy, especially when you have like guys with like bow and arrows that can very easily like shoot at him and like he's down. But the fact he came in there, split this dude's head like in two, and then from there they were able to send the war elephants going back. Like I thought that was a really good job from him.
That was awesome, but we have to remember too, like those Chinese people, like they never saw elephants before. Can you imagine like some exotic beast,
exactly,
and strong, coming into your war?
I feel like that's like a huge wild card, just like throw out of nowhere,
Well, actually, there are some elephants in China.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like
these guys
and the magnitude like she was able to bring in there, like that's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas I meant that those guys never saw them before.
Yeah,
yeah.
Quinn has never seen the elephants ever. They're just like, what are these beasts?
Yeah, of course, of this magnitude, definitely.
But the funny thing was when I saw the panel, when you see the elephants, the first thing I was thinking about was the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's exactly the same thing.
Oh man.
I mean,
and we also see as well, like after the elephant stuff, when they start making their attack on Tao and Moten and Uhon, and they're trying to like figure a way out of the situation, which is like it's like I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I can't imagine ever being in a situation like that and thinking straight. Like normally, I'd just be like, "What the fuck? What are we gonna do? Oh my god! Oh my god!" Like elephants, fucking guys on wooden fucking, yeah, just so much crazy shit. Just too much crazy shit.
Yeah, and then of course, like we move over afterwards back to Kunku Pass, and we see afterwards both the Wei and Han armies are trying their best to like pretty much take down Kunku Pass. And of course, we have like Mogu, Chotu, and especially Kanki being there, three of the 6, 7 generals that are pretty much stationed with this task of pretty much protecting Quinn. I mean, just to see like how things were going here, like again, I was a little bit more afraid of Go Humi over the rest of them from a strategic standpoint, just because like we see afterwards when he was like preparing like the siege towers, and of course seeing with Sekai pretty much using like the poison arrows afterwards, and then of course we saw the results of that when Chotu got pierced by one of them, and that pretty much like his death flag was like risen. It was just a moment of when someone's gonna notice and say, okay, he's down for the count. I mean, like, what did you guys think of like the whole like the attempted siege? When they use like the towers, and especially that one panel that I go back to and looked at the entire time is the one where Conky goes and picks up like the bow and arrow as he's about to shoot at the siege tower to get ready to blow it up in flames.
Like, don't even.
I thought it was just. Yeah, Kanki's he's just a fucking genius, man. Like, because even Gohome, what he's doing is quite crazy. The way he's like shooting those giant arrows into the Kanko Pass wall, and he's using them for like leverage for his so his army can get up there. And that's what you think he's doing. And then he brings all the fucking siege towers and stuff. You're just like, yo.
Yeah, and then of course, like going into like the nighttime too, when we see like Chotu kind of like confronting Kanki, and of course Kanki noticing that Chotu's been poisoned at this moment, he's asking whether or not he cares about the state of Quinn, and he's Kanki just straight up says, "I don't care about what happens to Quinn. If it gets destroyed, who gives a shit?"
I just like the warfare.
Yeah, I just love that sentence where he's like, "If I had to sum up one sentence, then it's because I'm pretty fucking good at warfare." And I'm just like, this is his personality, and the way it was put down, it's like this is true to like what his character is. Like he doesn't care about the outsiders, doesn't care about what someone wants. He's just one of those guys who just wants to fuck up lives and just do it like under his own his own regime,
If you think about it from a neutral perspective, right?
Right.
The Quinn.
Yeah.
Like everyone is each other's enemy. Everyone is bad for another one. But this guy has a neutral perspective, and it's not just like money,
Yeah, definitely.
It's like I have an ambition. I want to be good, and I want to like.
I'd say Kanki's a nihilist, man. He just wants to watch he's like the Joker. He just wants to watch the world burn. He doesn't care what side he's on, essentially.
Like, yeah, that's like the vibe I got from it right after.
Yeah. He's like, fuck it, whatever. Like, you're gonna die, old man, all right. He's not even being sympathetic. He's like, oh, you're gonna die, old man, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say the character afterwards I was thinking about in connection to Bamyu was Ongiko. The one that keeps on saying like, oh, boss, like he has like with the weird hairstyle where it's like bald spots, but he has like the hair like standing out from the sides and top.
Yeah, that guy's so weird.
Ogiko. Oh my god, like. I thought Bamyu was an idiot, but this guy, like, he's just like he defines retarded. Like, I don't know, there's just something about him, like he's just I don't know. Like, it's so hard to explain this character because like he's just crazy. But it's just like
he's being better, though.
Yeah, and he's like that's another thing too. Like I don't want to doubt him because I feel like later on down the road he's one of those guys that could be like a troublemaker on the battlefield. Like he'll be someone like you kind of will doubt, and then out of nowhere he's just gonna be like lieutenant level. Maybe he'll be like 5,000, 8,000 man commander. Like like he'll have that battle kind of style, but he won't have the rank to kind of back it up. But then, of course, like leading up afterwards, we see like Kanki's like telling Chotu, I'm gonna go and take down like the the Han and Wei commanders, and like just him like coming out afterwards from the siege tower, like he had how many troops with him? 400, and like how many were they going up against? It was like what, around 10,000 or something.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like it's like I say, like numbers do not matter to Kanki, and for him to roll out 400 and be okay against like up to 10,000, like. Holy shit, like this guy is just on another level, and like he just looks at everyone, he's just like, okay, shall we get started? Like he's unfazed, he's like, all right, let's get to business.
And the thing that makes it even crazier is the fact that he stole all that oil in advance. He would even know he would even know if there's going to be siege towers or not. But he was already prepared for something like that to happen, and it's just insane. Like Kanki is just like
Yeah,
he's
but it's
always
the
like
thing.
3 steps ahead of people.
Yeah, but with the war before, they also used the siege tower. So he was already thinking about, we have a high wall, they will have siege towers or something. So that's why he was already planning ahead, and that makes a good general, to think ahead of what possibilities can happen. And you see with him that he's really a good one.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, true. But the fact is that no one else even considered it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, but that's
no one even knew where they could have been. Like, for example, Kanki didn't know he was going to be stationed at Konko Pass until till a while later.
yeah.
So
But
it's just the fact he's
at the
got it.
moment that he knew that he was stationed there, he probably took the oil.
You never know. Kanki's a strange guy, man. He might have just gone on and sold that shit later. You never know, Kanki, man. He's a
Definitely.
devious man. Devious.
And then I just love the thing afterwards, like, we're not, they're asking pretty much, is everything going to be okay? Like, Raido was asking straight up, like, are we going to be okay doing this? Because it seems a little bit risky. And like, I just love like the confidence in Kanki's face where he's like, everything's going to be fine. And then we see like everyone's reaction, like Raido and them, he's like, okay, Coco, the girl, whatever, she's like blushing. And like, you already know there might be something going on between those two in the background we don't know about. I think like she might be like I would say like what we see with Shin and Kyokai. I would say they might have something, but more of the adult version of it. If you can get what I mean from that.
Oh no, I think it's different because I think Shin and Kyokai is more mutual, but Kanki's is just like she fancies Kanki like a lot, definitely.
Definitely,
Like,
but I think Kanki might like. It's weird. Like I won't explain too much into it, but I think like they might have something going on there, just because like from the way like she interacts with it, and like how Kanki doesn't seem to like have an issue or like kind of like say like whatever bitch, like I don't care. I feel like there might be something going down the road later on, but like that's just me. And then we just see like
which girl?
Koku. Do you know the girl that's with Kanki's army?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see him. I heard that often though.
Yeah, the one with like the long black hair. She's like the 5,000 man commander.
yeah.
Yeah, she's like pretty much one of the top people. Like, pretty much one of Kanki's top people we get to see with like Raido. So like to me, like
I know what you mean, but I didn't see it that often. Did she blush?
oh yeah, definitely. We remember the panel where like everything's fine. We get like those little three small panels where it shows Raido, her, and Ongiko just kind of like all reacting. Like Raido just like whatever, Koku just like blushing, and then Ongiko just like holy shit, like all these people, it's too much. Like
Right. Oh yeah.
and then like it was crazy, and then they had one double spread after where we see like Kanki and his troops coming through with the shields afterwards, and like seeing all those arrows just raining down on them, but like to nothing, like it's doing nothing to them, and Kanki's just like make way, I'm about to fuck up shit right now, like it was awesome, man.
He was like rousing the enemy.
Definitely. And seeing Chotu to like kind of look at like like where this kid is coming from, and then obviously remember what Mogu was saying, how Kanki has the talents that could very well be on the same level as the 6th great generals of Quinn. It's crazy, and then for him to say like, so a scoundrel like him possesses strength to be on the same levels as the 6. Like I think at that moment, like to me, I think he already made the the claim that he deserves to be up there on that position just based on like the feats he pulled off from the coalition itself, especially over here leading Chotu to go and take down Sekai, which I want to hear your thoughts on this, especially from the chat. Like when Chotu cut the man in two, were you disappointed in Sekai by the fact that this guy decided he was going to run away?
Not at all, personally. Like
I
thought he's a poison kind of, like the way Sekai fights is just he's tactical. It doesn't seem like he's not a hand-to-hand kind of guy because no one ever usually gets that close, I assume. So he'll always be poisoned before. So I assumed he's like, nah, I just do my thing, like I just shoot you from far away, hit you some poison arrows, and then you just die slowly.
I felt so satisfied when he chopped his head off.
Oh, that was amazing. You see like the eye popping out and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, you damn scum. He's like, who the hell runs away from the battlefield? It's just like,
and he was like, what the hell have you done? Like to me, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, like the way that panel was done, it was like perfect. You know, it just seemed like slaying him down like down the middle, and then like that to me, it's like Chotu's character. Like I had mixed feelings with him because he was the one that we saw the less of compared to all the other ones, and it's just like okay, like you know, he's one of the older guys, but then again, I have more respect for Mogu than I do him. But then to see like you know the resolve that he had for himself and where he wanted to you know kind of make a name for himself too. You know, he's like because we knew like guys like Mobu, Osen, Konki, like not the younger guys, but the guys who are you know pretty much going to be like the standard for what Quinn's going to be. These guys are going to be the ones that are pretty much going to get all the accomplishments, all the rewards. Their names are going to be renowned in China. A guy like him probably won't be. So the fact that I liked how Konki was able to allow him to get as close as he could to kind of make his name. You know, he took down the commander in chief for Han. That's regardless of like Han being the smallest state. That is a massive achievement, and for him to you know get that before he passed on, I mean,
That was the
that
first.
was a sweet moment. Yeah,
That was the first head in the war, right?
it was of the commanders in
No.
chief and the commanders in
No.
chief.
Oh,
you mean
Commanders
like
in Chief, yeah.
well,
then,
when the
yeah,
top guys he was
Yeah.
because obviously
Yeah,
we talked about the first big people. It was Ribun Kun that technically fell, and then obviously of course like Mongoku, but like in terms of like the big names, like he was the first.
this guy was one of the five.
I mean,
Five.
we had
Yeah.
well, we have from the main big four was like you know Kanmei, Ordo, it was Sekai, and then Gohume.
Yeah, wasn't this guy from those four? Wasn't he the fifth?
Well, there was a fifth, but I'm not gonna explain it here because that's for like later on down the road when we get into that because you guys probably already know. But
yeah.
because we get four, and then you know stuff happens. But I'll be careful not to spoil it. But yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
and then, yeah, and then of course, like you know, like when we see like Chotu like passing on, like the fact that Kanki like he didn't allow him to fall, and, you know, and like especially going to the words of Chotu is saying to him like you know, be the one to kind of like you know like take over, like you know, be the man that Quinn needs right now at the moment. You know, if he's pretty much like giving him like his flames to kind of like carry on and like you know keep up with the torch that he couldn't be able to hold on to any longer, and like he's the only one that can pretty much do it from here on out. I thought that like it was pretty cool. Like he was just giving him like you know this is like I had my opportunity, I had my chances. You're young, you can still do it. Be the number one general in all Quinn Konki. And then I know some people look at that and they say Konki is like one of those guys who doesn't give a shit about what other people's like you know opinions are. But I think going down like his character, I think for him to find someone to actually like you know see something in him, it must have like struck a chord with them. Because I really doubt like you know like for him to go and like grab Chotu especially like you know instead of letting him fall down, like that's Konki's character, he would allow it to happen. But
Not
for him
just
to
that,
do that, like yeah,
that, but not people are not open books, especially men like Kanki.
yeah.
He can get misjudged quite badly.
Oh yeah,
So,
most definitely.
Yeah,
But the
But I
thing is,
think, yeah, he earned his respect though, because I don't think Kanki would have done that. Like for example, if he just stayed in the Kanko Pass defending it, Kanki wouldn't give a fuck essentially. But because he came down and managed to kill Sekai, Kanki's like, yeah, he earned my respect basically.
yeah, but I think as well, like nobody really, Kanki knows that everybody thinks a little bit, he's a little bit different and not really a great general, and he never got the respect. And I think this was the first time he gets respect from one of the other generals, and he was like, okay,
yeah, that's true.
they show me now the respect actually that I earned to get.
I mean, the only guy that actually acknowledged him was
Mogu.
Mogu.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
But I don't know, because okay, it's because maybe I'm way further ahead than like obviously Laz knows as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna say any more. But there's stuff you find out. That's what I'm gonna say.
Is that all?
Yeah, literally all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, of course, as I say this before in the chat, and of course in the comment section if you're watching after the video is uploaded. Just try to be careful not spoiling stuff past chapter 315, just so we can prepare for the greatness in the next week as well. I mean, these parts are, of course, our greatness as well, because without this kind of build up, the hype, especially the end, like towards the end, we're about to get into it right now. I mean, I mean, we can get into it right now. Actually, you know, the
Okay.
legendary battle, the fight between like the two
Oh,
gods of
wait, give me 1
destruction.
second, just before you go there, Laz. I just want to mention the fact that about Riboku and I forgot the name, the Prime Minister finding out about Saikai's death, and they're
Oh
all
yes,
like fucking kanky again. Yeah, they're just like
yes.
fucking kanky. Every time this guy has some surprise attacks, like they're just getting pissed off. They're like, God damn, this guy again.
Yeah. I think at that moment too, for Riboku to kind of hear that, like I feel like it's kind of hinting towards, you know, like Kanki is going to have some kind of like little clash or something maybe one day down the line with Riboku. Like I feel like it's here, like hearing the name, especially this is gonna be a guy who could be on the level of the 6 generals once that system's brought back into play. Like he's gonna realize, well, this is a guy I'm gonna have to fight. So like I better remember this person's name, you know, for just in case like down the line in the future.
Just want to say that this is not a spoiler because I'm not completely caught up. And I don't know if this happened, but I feel like Kanki is going to be the guy that's going to get acknowledged by Shin too. And Shin is probably going to take him up as one of his higher men. After, of course, the whole surpassing and, you know.
Well, Shin's gonna take on Kaneki.
No, he's going to take him as one of his own. That's what I think. Like, way on later.
Okay, I'm not gonna say nothing about that either.
I was gonna say before we even get to the Mobu and Kame stuff. I mean, we almost forgot about one of the big battles happens: Ordo versus Osen.
Yeah, that one was really interesting. I fucking love Osen.
Yeah, because that's like from a tactical standpoint, that was like a really fun read to see. Because like you're seeing like two different mindsets of how like they battle, and it's not like just, you know, they're like killing each other and crazy. It's like who can who can have a better strategy that outdoes the other person.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, from that point. And then like I love there's like a little funny moment, but it's like you remember there's like one of his guys, I think one of his archers with like the crazy mask with like the black lines on. He has like the arrow through his head where he's like saying like, "Oh, Ordo Sama, look at me," and he's like, "Oh, that's good."
And then he takes it off.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell? Like, who's this Joker? Like, what?
Yeah, but
Like,
there's a lot of fun people in there. It's also with Kankai. He's got also one of the guys that is really funny. That is, I forgot his name. He's also one of the mountain tribe people, and he's the whole time shooting also the bow, and his arrow is just falling straight down the wall because you can shoot with the arrows. I forgot his name.
Oh, he's from Kanki's troops?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Ogiko, but I don't think it is him.
I don't think he meant Ogiko, yeah.
Is it? It could be Ogiko. It could be Ogiko.
Yeah, I think it's
because
Ogiko.
he tried
Yeah,
to
it
shoot
is.
arrows, I remember.
Let us know what that character is if you can.
Yeah, definitely him because he tried to shoot arrows and was like, "Look, I always miss, but I hit."
Yeah,
him."
it is
Yeah,
Ogiko.
yeah,
It is
Ogiko,
Ogiko. Yeah. I was thinking too because I haven't seen him like. I mean, he could carry a sword, but I feel like he's more of like a bow and arrow type of guy.
Yeah, exactly. But Usen, man, I fucking love this. The thing about Usen as well, like him and Kaneki are probably the most mysterious generals that we have in Quinn. But Usen, just because he never even shows his face, is that extra? Just he's so he's so creepy as well. Like he always has that mask on every time. It's just in his eyes.
He's the Zorro of Kingdom.
Oh, that's the Zorro. Okay.
Yeah, and then like
I don't know, man. He knows which direction he's going.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, like, you know, when we go back and we look at like we kind of appreciate the art of Kingdom just a bit, and just see like, you know, how much has changed from like the first chapter to like the 305th chapter, like at this point where we're at right now. Like to see like, especially, you know, with Ordo, you know how he's like climbing up the mountains, getting ready to attack, and then we get probably in my opinion one of the top 5 best double spreads in terms of like the art and how it was done, where we just see like Osen standing from behind with the rest of his men looking at all these guys just like, you know, going up, and then like he's like, really, like, okay, I got these guys in my pocket, like it's game over. Like, you dumbasses, like you really thought that was gonna happen. He just goes and says deliberately, "What an idiot."
Yeah.
Like, you know, Osa's just like, you fucking fool, like I'm just gonna rip you apart without even like using like my full power. Like, oh man. It just shows the show, man. Like defense is what win championships, and Olsen is definitely like that guy that like you need on your team when it comes to defense.
Exactly. Like, oh man, he's just a beast. Just a beast, man.
It was crazy, man. Like that tactical battle, like, and it's something I have to go back to and reread as well because that was such an enjoyable read. But like, yeah, the Olsen hype, man, like it just begins from here.
Exactly.
I must say, at the moment when I was reading as well, this, and I saw all the mountain tribes, I was like, where are the mountain tribes that help the queen?
Yeah,
Ooh, nothing to say there either.
I
Don't
mean,
say
No,
anything.
no.
Oh
But
yeah,
you know
initially,
what I'm saying?
initially,
You know what I'm
initially,
saying?
yeah, definitely. Initially, at those moments and stuff, you would kind of think like, where would Yotanwa and stuff be at that moment? Because like, of course, since they're so close to the mountains, you would think they would have some kind of surprise trap, like waiting around, to kind of like stop these people from like trying anything.
I would have just thought that they were under the command of Wilson.
That's what I was thinking too. Like maybe they could have like been under him, and like maybe he's going to use them to pretty much attack Ordo from like maybe from somewhere else in their direction, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, because if you think already about it, right, like 2 arcs before this one, the tribe was coming to them and talking about there's some things going on. So you would expect that they would know there's something going on as well with the coalition army, because they're living in that area and they can see things are going on with the different states. So that's why when I saw all the groups had the mountain people, I was like, okay, and where are the Queen's mountain people now?
Yeah. So
that's why I was asking that.
Yeah, and of course, like we keep going afterwards, and we see like Konki and Mogu now pretty much having to like fend off like Kohume, and like the fires being set to the walls of like Kankoku. We see afterwards like the Duke and like Shin and Ten preparing to do even more battle with Keisha, over there, and then of course we go and take a trip down to
that part. That was that like how Hyo was instinctual generals, and he felt it. Like he was an instinctual general too.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I'm just saying, like when we go from like those panels back in chapter 306, where it's kind of like detailing the little bits of what's going on, and then it shifts right over afterwards straight to Mobu and Kame, which they said this is the largest scale clash the entire battle was unfolding.
Yeah.
And when we see that page where it just shows, we see like Mobu, we see Heki, To, Moten, and like Ohan, and then of course we see like Kame and like his strategist. We see Karen, we see Hakure and Kokuyu right there. And then like I already was hyped from the very beginning. The moment I saw that speech from Mobu, I know this was going to be the fight that I was most excited for. And to this very day, it still holds a place in the top 5 best fights I think I've ever seen when it comes to manga. Like hands down. I don't even know where I put it. I don't know where I put it, but it would stay in my top 5. Like it's that damn amazing.
It was very. Yeah, Nikki.
Like, I was gonna say exactly, because like, what I have to admit, man, what Mobu did was just fucking, I don't know, man. It was nuts. It was nuts. Just fucking amazing.
But it was really intense if you think about it. It was going everywhere.
Because the way they were using those like hammer stuff, they just seemed like swords. The way they were just battling each other, and I'm like, they must weigh fucking so much, and they're just using them like they're just some light swords, just smacking them against each other.
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
That's why I was saying, if you compare Karen with them, Karen is as big as them as well, so she's so strong.
But that was just I don't know, maybe not physically. I don't think she'd be physically strong as Kame, to be honest, because Kame was fucking
no, of course not. You cannot. It's difficult to compare on women with them strength with a man's strength, but if you compare like how big,
I agree with that. Yeah. And the thing that was also really cool was the fact that, like, how Moten was trying to save his father and stuff, and that just made fucking Mobu go Super Saiyan, and he just see like, I'll show you that I'm the strongest man.
And of course, before we even get to that, there's also interesting information too that Kame kind of revealed, like how like his name, like how he took down the I think his name was Okutsu, one of the great generals of Quinn, where like he was like a rookie, kind of like an upstart for Chu. And in combat, he actually took down one of the members of the 6 great generals of Okutsu and sent him packing back to Quinn, which I thought, like, because we knew from this, like, the little retelling, Okutsu, in terms of martial might, was the strongest of all of Quinn. So in terms of strength, in terms of combat, like this guy was the strongest. And for Kame to say like he beat this man and forced him to go back, with his legs, tail between his legs, that was pretty scary. Like if you were able to go onto that level, that we know Oki is on that level, right? But a guy obviously, of course, being above him, and it hasn't been stated if Okutsu is actually a member of the O family. That Oki, Ohan, Osin, like those guys hasn't been confirmed yet. But based on the name, the way it's been spelled, it could potentially mean this guy was from the O family. But to see Kame also say too, like there are two places in all of China that my name has never been ever spread across, were the states of Yan and the states of Quinn. Yeah. And of course, like when later when we get caught back up with the series afterwards, the stuff I want to go into that because it does kind of help out with a theory of mine that I have in regards to Konki, but I'll save for another time. But to hear him kind of say that, like it was just pretty crazy. Like only two places in all of China haven't heard his name, but the fact that he was able to do what he did to Okutsu, I thought that was remarkable.
I feel like this puts Kanmei at a great general level that raised the question to me, like, is Oki like one of those guys that evolves in battle? And is he going to be really the strongest now? And I think he is now. But not strategically, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say Okutsu, like in terms of like physically, if he was the strongest, like you would kind of think like too in combat he might be. Like I mean, I still hold to like the fact that Hakuki, like because he was the leader and like just a bunch of stuff too, like he still would be the strongest character of them. But I would think like in terms of like the actual strength, like this guy would have to have almost similar level of like combat to that of Hakuki. But so I have like a rookie Kanmei to come and actually like take him out like that. So like early on, like in his like career of his military career, like that's crazy. And then of course we get into that battle afterwards. We see like like I got scared at one point when Mobu like got hit so hard, like he has his like back on the horse, and you thought like is Mobu gonna fall here? Like there's no way. Like I'm thinking to myself as a Marine, there's no way you're gonna kill off such a massive character like him just like that. And then it goes back to remembering like the words that Shohei-kun was saying, like you don't need logic anymore, like just go and do your thing. And for him to just like to gain like that second win pretty much to keep on going from there, like the moment he got up and after like towards its end was probably it was too much. Like it was too amazing to the point where like I couldn't stop reading. Like that was like probably the most enjoyable parts I ever had when it came to Kingdom was that battle.
Yeah. Because the way, like, even just before they even fight each other, the way they're just using that, I don't know what the weapon to call that weapon except like a giant kind of bell or something.
Yeah.
Essentially. Because the way they're using it is just like the panels, you're just seeing people's heads just wiped off.
Right.
Like, they're just like no heads left. You're just like, God, what hit from that? And you should die. But these two guys are hitting each other so hard with it and they're still surviving. It's just crazy.
Definitely. I mean, of course, like seeing like the stuff, with like, Kanmei like having his arm being broken, like Jesus Christ, the way they did that with the bones sticking out and stuff like that was like,
yeah, but it was the first, but also with Mobu when his hands.
Yeah, when his hands, we saw, with the bone popping out from his wrist, right? Like,
yeah,
oh my goodness. I was just like, how? Like, and then of course, like we see like when they're bashing like the maces against each other, like the pieces are piercing through people's heads.
Yeah,
it's just like what, like oh my god, like the hockey game was so real at this point. And then and then of course, like leading up, we see like Karen's like younger brother Kain coming in and to try and like stab Mobu through the heart. And like with their personality, we know these people, they don't give a shit. They just want to get the job done, regardless of like tainted like legacies or whatever. And then seeing Moten come in there trying to stop this guy, and then being pushed up against his dad. And Mobu looking at him like, wait, what? And that I got scared, man. I legit thought right there and then Moten died. When you see Kame saying like, this isn't a place for trash like you. And he just goes, like says, get out of my way. Just like slices him down like to his chest. I'm like, dude, he just died. I'm like, no way. And I was so mad. I literally left my computer as I was reading this chapter. I'm thinking, there's no way. Please fucking annihilate him. Yeah. And just seeing Mobu go like Super Saiyan 4, like God form or some shit, like whatever form he took in at that moment, and just say like, who is the strongest man in China? And he like, you think of the Whitebeard moment, right? Head being like, in the manga, like being like blown off just a bit. He legit cut half at least of the man's head with a mace.
It was
A
insane.
mace that is not meant for cutting, it's meant for bashing. He cut him.
And
Like,
it was clean as well. There wasn't like
yeah,
no
that's what I mean. Like,
edges.
there's no chunks, no nothing there. It was that clean stripe with a mace. You can't be telling me Mobu ain't the god of the verse. Like at that moment, like he right there already proved, like on a level like that, he is just a monster that needs to be like, you can't go up against this dude knowing like your life is in peril pretty much. Like,
Exactly,
oh my
man.
god. It's like, imagine like you're one of those soldiers who's just watching this battle and you see a great general. You see like the giant of Chu getting his head like bashed in, split in two. It's just like, what do you do? Like, you can't fight this guy. Like, it's impossible. And then he goes, and then you see the old man Jino just kind of saying, like, he's like, "Stop, Mobu, you'll kill him," and he just doesn't give a shit. He just bashes him in. Like, that's game over. Like, that guy's head's like, it's freaking watermelon juice. Like, it's game over at this point.
I never really got why he said stop, Mobu.
Yeah, because I don't think he wanted, because he knew Kami was dead, but he didn't want him to be like butchered pretty much. That's what I was thinking from Jino, but like Mobu didn't give a shit. It's like, you laid a hand on my child, I'm going to fuck you up, and that's what he ended up doing. And like Mobu, I think at that moment Mobu kind of like, what happened with Oki back at Bio, he redeemed himself right here.
Yeah, that's why I can't hashtag Mobu's dead, guys. Like it's true, man.
By the way,
it's hashtag Mobu the GOAT.
By the way, when you saw Karen's brother running in with a spear, and Karen said, "Okay, kill him." Didn't you guys reference straight away to Aoki? Like, okay, shit, this the same like with the guy that's at the arrow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was straight away. I was like, no, not again.
Yeah.
And I was reading and clicking from no, this cannot be happening again. Like, no way.
Yeah, I was hoping Molten would run at the speed of light and just like stab this guy through like the head or something. Like, just get this dude away from Mobu. That's all. But then I'm thinking too, like, how crazy would it have been if like Mobu sensed this and like just bashed this dude, like send him flying or something, like, because like he knew something would be like along, like he would feel in his like aura, in his blood, like someone's gonna try and do some crazy shit to me.
Maybe
Like that's what I was expecting Mobu to do, of course, but then Molten coming in for the save. Like, shout out to Molten though.
Maybe he's also an instinctual general.
That's what I'm thinking too. Like, Mobu is like, he isn't just martial strength or just like, a monster where like who just wants to kill. He has some level of at least a decent amount of like tactile, like, warfare in himself. And I think like the connection too with Shoei-kun, because remember going back then, like the very beginning when they first met, like Shoei-kun was hinted towards to be on the same level as Mobu, if not stronger. Like, who knows? But like, again, for to be able to say that, and like Shoei-kun's more of like the strategist, and then of course Mobu being more of the fighter, you would think, okay, he's a fighter, but he's got to have some little bit of that strategy that Shoei-kun has, whereas the other has the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think as well that Mobu realized when Aoki was dead that he should be more than only be brute force, but also more tactical.
Yeah.
And then going back to
the saying as well in the manga as well, like, okay, you changed when you saw Aoki get killed.
Yeah.
That's what Tao tells him.
Yeah, and then it's like, and Joseph was saying in the chat, I was about to get into that too as well, but like Mobu's words afterwards to Moten, because like before I saw him say the entire thing, I'm thinking, Mobu, go fuck yourself. Like, he's like, why did he bother stepping into my battle? Like, why was he here? Why did he leave his post? And I'm thinking, like, dude, that's your kid, man. Like, why are you seeing this shit? And then he's like, but don't faint, because there's nothing to worry about. He won't die from a wound like this because he is my son. And I'm just like, Mobu, father of the year, warrior of the year, like, you can have it all, man. Like,
because Moten was like squeezing a guy's hand.
Yeah, like, because to feel like, he heard his dad's words, and like to hear that from his dad, like to kind of not praise him, but to recognize him in the sense. It's just like, my dad recognized me at that moment. It's like I didn't do anything in vain.
Before the battle, they also had this little chat.
Yeah, and then of course coming towards the tail end of 315, where we're at right now, of course we see Shishinkun afterwards, like finding out the news with Riboku about Kame being slain, him kicking the life out of that table, flying. He's like, fuck, like we already lost like Ribunkun, we lost Mongoku, we lost freaking Sekai, and now we lose like the Giant of Chu, the Commander in Chief of Chu, freaking Kanmei. It's just like everything that they thought that was going to go towards their way ended up going the whole 180. And now, like at this moment, I thought, okay, Quinn has them like on a stalemate at the very least. Like to be able to take down two commanders in chiefs, to take down like two crucial members of like both their armies, like that moment right there says, okay, Quinn's back in the fights. Like even though they have themselves on the ropes with the 5-on-1, now they're back in the game.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's true. God, I'm still just amazed by Bobu, man. Cause he destroyed a sword and half the guy's face. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, and the other guy's mace. Like, oh my, I don't know that. Oh. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, like, and then of course at the end we also get afterwards, the news being passed over the Konyu, everyone just like riled up, they're happy, excited, just the fact that like something massive again came their way, and that was the slaying of Kanmei. And I just love how at the very end of that chapter too, where we see like Rufu just kind of like looking like, that's my Mobu. Just thinking
exactly.
like, it's like shut the fuck up. I know he's your boy, but like that's not the W for you, like. That's a W for Quinn, not for you.
Like you saw those people from different factions. They were like holding hands and were like, "We did it," Like,
Yeah.
And he was like,
And the thing,
like that pissed me off, man. Like he made this about himself. Like he tried to.
Definitely.
Because the thing that I'll just get back to a bit, like the thing they hinted in the beginning of this arc as well, the fact that Ryofu, everyone was so surprised by the whole coalition army, but instead of Ryofu reacting in a way to like inspire people, it was Elsei. And even though they were like all the different factions, obviously are not exactly part of Elsei, they all agreed with him straight away. So it started to show that the winds are changing for Ryofu. Maybe we're not sure yet.
Yeah, and then of course like kind of backtracking too, because I was seeing right now in the comments like how about like Sei's reactions to like whenever Shin does something great. I'm also going back to Riboku, because remember when afterwards he found out about like Mongoku being slain by Shin, and like at that moment he's like, wait, Shin, I remember that kid's name. And it's just like, damn, like to see like this kid's already accomplishing something already at this magnitude, like where he's able to take down an important piece to Riboku in terms of Mongoku, like.
Yeah.
Like we would say, like he praises him, he's happy, like he's always like excited to see like he's doing shit in the battlefield. But then of course looking from Riboku's side, it's like, okay, I've been keeping this kid on the side, on the distance. I haven't been paying attention to him, but this kid's like barking, and now he has my attention to an extent.
Yeah, exactly. Like he recognized Shin like the first time he met him, but now he really fucking respects him now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sei is so like that one panel which Sei is so fired up, like you can see fires around him.
Yeah. So I mean, since now we pretty much covered 257 through 315, I guess I can ask you guys now. Oh, were you gonna say, Nikki?
Sorry, yeah, I'll just mention like there's other things I want to mention just so everyone gets kind of an understanding, because this whole arc goes over a couple of days as well. It's not like when we're talking about all this stuff, like obviously everyone who's watching this stream has read the arc, but remember this is over days and days and days. So each army is like tired and bleeding. Like we always see people patching themselves up and stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like we all see Shin's point of view of him like being injured and stuff like that. So it's just incredible, like the way they show how long a war can be. It's grueling and people are dying and you're just tired, and the next day you have to fight again. It's incredible.
Like no shots towards One Piece, but like 2 years in Dressrosa all handled in like technically 1 day. I mean,
No.
I'm a little suspect, but I mean you might as well. I mean, after all the fucking shots, Dressrosa 2 years in 1 day, bro. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know.
But
as
well, the if you see comparing, because that's really what I'm focusing on as well, is there is so much detail in every panel that's so important in this arc. Almost every panel is so detailed and so good. Like we were like back in Sao when Sao was like all drawn out, we were like, oh wow, Sao looks so amazing. But if you look at Kingdom, every panel is so detailed.
Yeah.
Drawn out.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing I'll mention as well, the fact it's cool to see how smart like the generals are. For example, Kanki, even though he knew that the Kanko pass was probably going to fall, he still thought it's best to still at least get it with the general's head as well. Because the way the war's going at this point in time, the Kanko pass is looking like it's going to fall right now.
Oh, back when Kanki was like,
Yeah,
at
like
least
when
we have
Kanki.
general head.
Yeah, because he knew, like, to me, Kanki he's aware of the fact the way the whole they don't have enough army with them to defend against this because of all the poison arrows and stuff like that. And the fact is that he just knows that even if you're losing in a war, it's always good to come back with a prize. So he came back with a general's head. So that was pretty
Yeah.
sick. But
Yo was amazing too.
yeah, and it was the way he's. But the one thing now it does leave is what's going to happen to the Kanko Pass essentially now, because the way it's overrun by all of Gohome's men and Seikai's men as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I mean, like, so since we pretty much covered everything from here, I mean, I guess I can ask you guys afterwards, like, between 257 to 315, and of course, the guys in the chat and the comment section down below after the video set up, who would you say was the MVP from these portion of chapters from 257 to 315?
Darkseid already told in the chat who Nikki's favorite is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to me personally, I had to give it to Mobu just because, like, if we look at this, if had Kame not fallen in that battle to Mobu, we already know that Kankoku Pass would have been in a really, really big pickle if Kame somehow survived and was able to, like, go forward past Mobu.
But not just that he defeated him, he marched on his army so that they couldn't regroup.
Exactly, yeah. Like, he just kept on going from there afterwards, and just he didn't want to rest. He just wanted to keep on killing and just destroying lives on the battlefield. And like that's why I gotta give it to Mobu. Like he instead of taking going off the bench, no, he wanted to score 85 points in a basketball game. Like he wanted those points so badly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's true. Even though I've hated on Mobu in the past and stuff, this arc is his crowning achievement, man. It's Mobu, man. I have to like what Kanki did was sick and stuff, but what Mobu did was just so. Because even his arms are still like messed up. He's like got bones popping out his wrist and stuff, and he's still chasing the Chu army. So
definitely, like I see right now in the chat too. I think Dog Eyes was saying that Shoei-kun was right because Mobu the MVP. Shout out to Mobu. Darkseid, Mobu was the MVP. Osen a close second. Definitely, I would think Osen was definitely a close second. I mean, just the fact that the feint alone on Ordo. I mean, if we didn't see this up in Mobu, I think that could have been some MVP level shit. Honestly.
He was like, they're in the northwest, sir. They're not gonna do anything. They're gone.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Up and he was like,
oh, man, like definitely and then I would say the number three. The number three for me, I want to probably give it to you know what, just to pay respect to the dude because I was whatever with them. Chotu. I'll give Chotu number 3, just simply because the fact that one, he was able to actually take down one of the commanders in chiefs, especially the commander in chief of Han Sekai, but not to mention the passing words he said to Kanki, because I feel in a way that's going to play something later on down the line where Kanki is going to remember those words and someone believed in me that I could be this level, this guy for someone one day. And even though we know his personality, he's not going to care or whatever, but generally he's going to take it into consideration and he's not going to forget about it.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. That's going to change him.
Yeah,
I still think Kanki's too, though.
I wouldn't say it won't change him completely, but it's something he's not going to just brush to the side. He's going to remember that one day.
When I meant change him, I didn't mean his character, personality. I meant his way of thought,
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think
Darkseid
is right.
But I think
over Choto.
Nah, I'd say
Yeah.
Kanki is number
Yeah,
2
Kanki.
or 3.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I put Kanki too.
Because if you think about Kanki, he did it with the siege towers.
Yeah.
Then he went into the enemy battlefield, go all the way through them, Snake or Pedro, if we can say.
Yeah.
And he just managed to get out, go back again without even get harmed.
Right.
Sorry, but that is almost impossible. Nobody would think about it. Only he would. So that's why I would say he's number 2.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Conky to me would be a very easy answer to put as like the number 3, but I think like I know like I'm looking at it from like the accomplishment itself, but like the guy who actually took down the commander in chief, cut the dude in two was Cho Tu. But obviously, like to a lot of people, like definitely respect and understand. Them putting Conky. I just feel like I don't like. I kind of had to give him that thing just because he actually did take him, and then like not to mention like the guy kept on going while being poisoned. Like he could have died like on the way there, like even like the night before. So the fact that he was able to last that long to go there and still be able to take down the commander in chief, that's amazing.
I mean,
yeah, I understand that, but if you compare the fight, because it was not really a fight, because
oh yeah, of course, no, he just went and slayed him after, yeah. But I'm seeing like the process of him just going there and stuff, like that's still incredible.
Yeah.
The fact that like he was poisoned, like again, he could have died when he was walking with Conky and stuff, still going towards Sekai. Like he could have just died right there and then, like some from the poisoning. But the fact that he was somehow able to like hold off, like the poison for that long just to get in there and kill him, like that's incredible.
Yeah, I understand it, but it was because of
oh yeah, definitely,
guy. Because if he didn't think about this plan, he would never have possibly could do it to him.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? For number 3, I'll put it as a tie with Conky and Cho Tu, because that was a double effort, if anything.
Right.
Just to play it safe.
I mean, Conky could have killed the guy himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he could have easily done it.
I would put him at 2, and Wilson at 3, and Choto at 4.
Okay.
I don't know, because I think the second half shows of why Osen's more. I'm not gonna say anything else, but yeah, the second half just.
Right.
I read it.
That's why I can't put him above. I'll put Chodsu third. So Osen is a bit lower for now, just now.
Yeah. I mean, like, you guys also have your other MVPs you want to say real quick, or like?
Oh wait, Dog Eye says technically the MVP should be Shohei-kun.
Because what? Because the belief of on Mobu, like the inspiration he gave to him, to kind of like to realize like I don't need logic, I don't need this, like I'm Mobu, I can just do it.
The whole strategy around the ball was from him, remember?
Yeah, and I mean the thing too with Shohei-kun and stuff, I want to reserve my words on him until once we get to the second part, which we'll be covering next week. Because I definitely would have him there close to it, but like I want to reserve it just in case I don't spoil someone who just got up to this moment right now.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me see.
Yeah, I know. But oh yeah, Shin is an honorable mention, said a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
And he saved Mangaku. No, he killed Mangaku and saved Duke from almost losing most of his men.
Yeah, and I also see here too, Shin's gonna be a monster in the series, even more scared than Mobu. Oh, definitely. Shin's gonna be like the god of the verse by the end of series, at least. He has to have an aspiration to be that guy.
Well, it should be. He's the most important person in the manga.
Definitely. I mean, I could see some characters being like close to him on level, but I think like in terms of like edging other people out, he should be like the number 1.
Yeah, like I think the only other competition is it's the 2 young people from I don't know if it's Chu or Han, the one on Karen's.
Oh, Chu, Chu.
Yeah, it's Chu. Those 2 young people look like they're on the rise as well, and also Uhan and Moten, of course. Like those.
Of course,
guys
definitely.
But Moten is now at the moment a little bit backwards.
Yeah, he's a bit, but he actually no. I think I might give him MVP. He might get like honorable mention as well, because what he did at least stop the guy from like. Even though I don't think it could have been Oki. It really could have been Oki, the Oki situation. So I have to give Moten some respect for that, because he took a fucking hit from Kenmei and survived it as well.
Yeah.
And that spurred on Mobu to that finishing blow that was just disgusting.
I mean, he saved his father's life, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because we realize how important Mobu is, because essentially if Mobu went down, I think the whole war would have been over right then and there, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, if you guys have anything else you want to add in real quickly, I think we could probably end it off here before you just go into spoiler territory by accident.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
true.
hashtag Mobu Goat.
Right,
I can't say that now, but yeah, I'm not going that far.
Nikki, I think you just hating right now.
No, I'm not. Look, hashtag Mobu MVP. There you go. I
There you
can't
go.
say GOAT though, because the second half, hey.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah,
far.
exactly. Even Moraz has to agree. He's like,
It's too far.
yeah.
Too bad.
Oh man, I mean, anything else you guys want to say? I'll just wrap it up then.
Basically, please people keep reading Kingdom. It's fucking sick. This is probably it's one of the best arcs in manga, the Coalition arc. So, just read it, man.
Definitely. I mean, like
And
like these parts
I'm
right now,
sorry,
like
yeah.
they're great. These parts are great. But what we're going to be covering next week is pretty much going to exemplify why this manga to me is the number one. Like, this is the only manga that I'll have on a weekly, ongoing basis that I would put over One Piece. And next week you'll see probably why I'm going to be saying that. Like, I'll say right now, this war to me triumphs and like curb stomps the living shit out of Marineford.
Yeah, definitely.
And like,
Yeah, I agree with that.
you would only be able to understand a statement if you have read the Coalition War in its entirety.
I
I
agree
would
so
say
I think
I would say Marineford is even not half of what this is.
Yeah,
much.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you know what? Like, again, like, we know, like, of course, with Oda and stuff, this is only going to be a small scale to what's going to come later on. But in terms of, like, yeah, Marineford was the big thing for One Piece, you know, in terms of getting the sales and stuff. This arc, however, like, now people are starting to recognize it. They're going to say, oh, this is Marineford. But I'm going to be like, yeah, it is, but it's better.
Yeah, it's bad. And I'll say one thing as well is really important. Don't even skip a chapter. Don't try to go on the wiki.
Yeah.
You have to read from the number 1 all the way up to to 357. I mean, just
Definitely,
read
yeah.
the whole manga. Like, don't skip it because it's the journey is what matters as well.
Definitely.
You know.
I mean, like, I would say this too. If you are catching up to the manga, take your time. Truly appreciate this manga for what it is, because the minute you get caught up and you're like some like myself and Nikki and a couple other people as well here on the Outer Haven crew, you kind of feel like you feel empty because you have to wait a week to get these chapters. Like, I was going to talk about the chapter that's going to be able to come out today. It's coming out tomorrow. So now, like, my drug addiction to Kingdom has to wait a little bit. But for those people who are going to be like binge reading the series and taking their time with it, really do take your time with it. Enjoy this ride for what it is, because it is probably one of my all-time favorite experiences when it comes to reading any form of media.
Yep, 100%. Like, I know we don't like, because the only arc that I think is on the same level as this arc is Enos Lobby Water 7 for One Piece. That's the only arc I can ever think of in manga that I've read.
Yeah, from an emotional standpoint, just the investment I had with it in general, I would say it's up there as well.
Yeah, 100%.
When I read Kingdom, especially this arc, like, I could not stop reading. I couldn't stop.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think it's a good time to wrap it up here. So if you guys enjoyed the stream, we've been almost streaming for 2 hours. Thank you for coming through again. You shorthand a little bit. You know, some people weren't able to come in. I know Professor Anime showed up in today as well. He had to leave. But I always appreciate Miles coming through to talk about the Kingdom greatness.
Yeah,
and hopefully next weekend we can try and get more people to come in as well to cover the second half, which there's so much I want to talk about it, because especially with people who have now caught up to it at this point, just to hear different people's thoughts on it, it's going to be an incredible, like, just a listen. Like, from a listening standpoint, it's going to be amazing just to hear other people's thoughts, and like they have that connection that I do with it or with someone else. It's going to be incredible. So yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this stream, make sure to like it. Subscribe to Outer Haven if you haven't already. If this is the first time you're coming here, you want more of this Kingdom greatness, please, for the love of God, just subscribe. It's right there. Also, click on the bell next to the name on Outer Haven, because if you do that, you keep up to date with all the news that's going on with Outer Haven. When we're going to be streaming, when we're going to be playing games, whatever it is. We're already on track to find out what's going on with Outer Haven. So, and of course, check our links down below in the description box of all our social media that's there. Join up with the Discord as well. There's a link to that as well, where we just go on there. We talk about, One Piece, Kingdom, and all different various forms of anime and manga as well. So you do that, you keep up to date with us, not just from YouTube, but as well in the Discord. So myself, Laz, here with Nikki, 44, and Maras, signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week for even more Coalition greatness. With that being said, Nikki, Outer Haven.
Disperse! Dun, 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 dun.